Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Onyx Tavern. This is your host, the BARKEEP, bringing you podcast number 25 here at the Tavern, presented by Hirotaku.com. Today I'm doing a solo episode for you guys. I apologize, it's been a while since I have been able to get another episode up, but once again, with college and all that, does make things a little bit difficult. But I do promise within next week I'll try to have a couple of really good specials for you guys coming up, and I'll talk more about those when they get posted. But for today, I did have a specific topic I wanted to talk about that I've been kind of batting around the idea for a while. Now I feel I got time to go ahead and talk about it. And it's really in light of the most recent Kyryuger episode that I saw that I decided to bring this back to the forefront of my burner, if you will. And today's topic is going to be about Sentient Zords. And this is going to apply for both Power Rangers and Super Sentai. Now let me just kind of give you guys my overall thought of Sentient Zords. I like the idea, I love the concept. The idea that they're not just machines, that they're just not tools to be used, that they are fellow fighters in the war against evil, and in some cases they are also, they're living beings fighting against you as well. Kind of making it, I wouldn't say more of a personal struggle for a lot of the teams, but definitely where it's not so lifeless, I guess. Because if you look at, let's take Star Wars again. I know I've made a couple of allusions to that series, but look at the difference between, say, the Stormtroopers and the droids of the Confederacy and the Trade Federation. The thing about the droids in the first three movies, even though I thought they were okay, is that they did lack a humanity. They are disposable soldiers. The same can be said about the Stormtroopers, but what we eventually kind of learn about them, at least through maybe some extended materials and so forth, is that they are people too, with their own lives, wishes, dreams, hopes. I'm reminded of a Clone Wars episode where one of the troopers had actually ran away after the Battle of Geonosis and started up his whole, his own family, basically, away from the war and everything. And, I'm not going to really give my thoughts on the Clone Wars because I haven't been keeping up on it, but the concept that episode brought up, that a clone would want something more out of his life than just to fight, was very interesting. And it's that kind of thinking that brings me to the topic of Sentient Zords and what ultimately bothers me. So for those of you who have not seen the episode 27 of Kyryuger, it's basically the Red Ranger has been possessed by a beast battery, making him think he's a T-Rex, pretty much. And basically, to go through the plot simplistically, it's that they eventually find that the way the battery is supposed to work is it's supposed to go ahead and work for Gabaracho, which I believe I'm pronouncing that right, but the T-Rex mecha, to make him smaller to, and again, I forget exactly what the dialogue is, to fulfill his desire and his wishes to fight alongside King in battle, as opposed to, King piloting him, I guess. So basically, that's why he shrinks down to mini Gabaracho or mini whatever, and then becomes the carnival armor, because it's fulfilling his wish to be able to fight alongside King. And how we come about that is Ian pretty much says to the Violet Ranger, and again, I'm really bad with names, I apologize. I'll get them right one of these days. But basically what Ian's saying is, maybe we should be thinking about what the Zords want. What they feel and what they think. And the Purple Ranger, she just, she's like, that's an interesting concept. I didn't think about what they thought about. So basically, what kind of led me into a problem here is that we're hinging a plot point on the fact that one of the dinosaurs wants to fight alongside King. That's what his wish is, his desire and all that. But how do we as the audience know that exactly? Because since the Zords have been introduced, we knew from the first episode that they were sentient. We know that the Rangers can communicate with them, that Tauren can communicate with them, but we as the audience don't know what they are saying. And what's bothersome about that is we have these Zords that are alive, they're doing things, they're integral to the plot. I mean, I wouldn't say that they're the power source for the Rangers, but I mean, obviously the beast batteries are, but they're hand in hand. One can't do what it needs to do without the other. And yet we don't know the Zords as characters. So let me kind of bring this to my whole point, is that the problem I have with Sentient Zords, and this is more of a failing in Power Rangers than Sentai, and again, I will cover all my bases here, is that when we have Sentient Zords, it doesn't really matter. And this is what I mean by that. Let's take, and I made my list here, let's go ahead and take the Dino Thunder Zords. Pretty much these things are sentient. I know in Aber Ranger they are. Now, I have not seen Aber Ranger. But all evidence in Dino Thunder indicates that the Zords are sentient, that they are alive. Okay? We know that from the first episode. We know that they're hatched from eggs. Basically, the Dimetrodon is evidence of that. Then that they are born, and then they fight. We don't talk to them. We don't get communication from them. We just know that they are alive. I believe the Road Raptors are alive too. And it is in the final episode in which the Zords are being sacrificed in order to defeat Mesogog and save the day. I think they were sacrificed to defeat Zeltrax, though, but my point is that they were sacrificed. Now, does anybody else find it odd in that case that the Rangers and Tommy primarily made the decision to sacrifice living beings to save themselves? Now, anytime you get a situation, whether it's us or them, I think everybody's going to go ahead and pick us, by extension themselves, every single time. Just because that's your natural instinct to want to go ahead and preserve yourself. But they killed a bunch of machine dinosaurs or biozords in this process who are alive, but there was no decision on their part to be sacrificed. I mean, look at the Turbozords. When TJ decided to defeat Golgoyle by destroying the Turbozords and the Rescue Megazord and all that, that's no great loss in the fact that they are machines, that they are not alive, that they are just a collection of circuits and gears and oil and all this other stuff to do their basic function, which is just be robots and fight, basically. But when you have the Biozords who are alive, doesn't it seem immoral to sacrifice them without, say, hey, you're about to go on a suicide mission. Do you want to go ahead and do this? Do you have any second thoughts? Do you want to back out? And yes, I understand it's a heat of the moment decision, but it seems to me that by sacrificing the Zords, the Rangers themselves are basically saying that their lives don't mean anything, that they are worthless, in a sense, that they are not to be treated as equals. And we know that by Time Force, there is this prejudice against robots. There is a prejudice against mutants, and all these other issues going on. But I just find it odd that, they are living machines, and the Rangers don't treat them as being alive. They treat them as the machine part, but not the living part. Let's take a look at, the two primary examples in Power Rangers are Lost Galaxy and Wild Force. Now, the interesting thing about this that's different from Dino Thunder in the respect that the Wild Zords and the Galacta Beasts, which may or may not be the same species, that's a fan theory right there, they talk to the Rangers. Or specifically, Maya talks to the Galacta Beast, Toro Zord talks to Magna Defender and Mike. But basically, the Wild Zords all talk to the Wild Force Rangers and Princess Shayla and all that. And the thing that's interesting about these is that the Rangers do consider their lives to be worth something. Now let's point out that Mike did basically kill Toro Zord while trying to hold up the portal for Terra Venture. But that was a mutual thing. They both kind of sacrificed themselves, and unfortunately Toro Zord died, but Mike was the only one that was alive at that point. Also note that Decca is a sentient computer, and she was sacrificed, but we'll talk more later. The Centaurus and Stratoforce, they essentially sacrificed themselves trying to save everybody, and the Galactabeasts, they got to go ahead and live. But there was always concern in Wild Force for the well-being of the Zords. To see Cull and the others be so depressed when the Wild Zords were basically vaporized by Master Org towards the end shows that they had a connection with these characters, essentially. Because Cull's always talking to the Lion. You know, ask him how he's feeling, what's he doing, and all these other questions and all that. But he feels for him when they die, or when they perceive to go ahead and die, that there is a connection there. But the problem I have in both those instances is that we, the audience, don't get to know them as characters. Now, in each situation, it's not about the Zords, basically. It is about the Rangers and the villains, but it would be interesting to know what type of personality does the Armadillo Zord have? What type of personality does the Falcon Zord have? I mean, what are they like? Are they snarky? Are they comedic? Are they depressing? Do they sound like Eeyore? I don't know. I mean, I just want to know what they sound like and what they have to go ahead and say. Because let's also point out for the fact that unless we know what they're saying, the Rangers could be interpreting many different things. And I just find that kind of interesting. That we, again, the audience don't know what they're saying, but the Rangers do. And how are the Rangers taking that information? I also find it odd that they still kind of treat them as machines in a way. I mean, Wild Force treats them more like living animals. I'll definitely say, like, this is my dog, basically. Lost Galaxy, for the most part, other than Maya and Leo on one or two occasions, they definitely treated them like tools, more or less, because they're in their Galactabeast form, and then as soon as the Transdagger transforms them into a Zord, you kind of lose that that they are alive kind of thing. And yes, they do have the plots where they do play that up, but I think for the most part, the thing about Lost Galaxy, because of its space opera theme to it, we usually forget that they're alive. And that's true with a lot of these series. I mean, there are ones I'm looking at, I mean, we don't forget for a minute in Wild Force that the Zords are all alive. We don't forget in Mystic Force that they're alive because they're essentially the Rangers and all that. But Titanus, Tor, the Q-Rex, are they even alive? The Zords and Samurai, are they alive? And again, if so, tell us about their character. Let us know about them. You know, I just, you know, because like Zordon pretty much said that Titanus is an ally. It seems to imply that Titanus is alive, but what does Titanus think about all that? I mean, he was obviously guarding those special weapons that the Rangers needed to defeat the Super Putties. I mean, did he believe that he had to go ahead and test them? Was that something Zordon had designed? You know, again, is Titanus alive? There's a lot of conjecture about that, and we don't really know. And for that matter, let's look at let's look at Tor for a second. Is Tor alive? It seems evident that he's alive because no normal robot would act the way that he does, with shaking his head and all the emotions he seems to go through. And actually, there's a shot in the Video Globe of like a turtle crawling on a giant crystal, which always meant me to believe that Tor was a real turtle that got into this crystal that Zordon had somewhere and turned him into a giant robot. Why? How? I don't know. But Tor was alive, it seemed. Again, the biggest thing to me is it just seems that the Zords are alive. We should get to know them as characters. Because maybe instead of having so many superfluous characters in a lot of shows, we can build relationships between the Zords and the Rangers. Because look at it for a second here. When Animus comes in, he's basically the god of the Zords in a way. No, that's not the example I'm thinking of. I'm sorry. The Predazord. Okay, so the evil Wild Zords come in. All right, let's look at the evil Wild Zords for a second. So we know that Merrick was corrupted by the Mask of Xanaku. The Zords follow Merrick, but Merrick's been corrupted. Now, did the Wild Zords actually follow him because he's Merrick and they just follow him because they're that loyal to him? Did the Xanaku Mask corrupt the Predazord to make them evil? Or did Xanaku basically convince them, hey, I'm evil, you should go ahead and join me, the dark side is the place to go ahead and be. And then the whole hesitation the other Wild Zords have of actually fighting against the Predazord because they're friends and allies, in the same way that the Galactabeasts would not fight against Centaurus and Stratoforce. Well, just don't tell us they won't fight because they're related and they're friends. Give us a reason for that. Go ahead and say, hey, they're not going to fight because they were best friends since they were hatched from eggs or something, or since they were born, and this one saved this one's life. I guess what I'm getting at is that there is so much story potential within these characters, and that's what I'm going to call them. They are characters, but again, we don't know what they're saying, and we don't bother to explore that. Now let's flip over to Sentai for a second, and here's the most obvious example of Sentient Zords would be the Go-Onger Zords. Basically, they are from the machine world. They're like the Transformers. They can talk. They have feelings. They have the emotions. They have conflicts. They can get angry. They don't like each other and all that. Heck, Bear RV fell in love with Tigress, the Tiger Jet of the Silver Ranger and all that. And there was a whole episode dedicated to that. Heck, Speedor and Bear RV had a child somehow who had an impulsive attitude. What I liked about Go-Onger in that sense is that they had these characters and they actually did develop them a little bit. Now, characters like Basson and Boel and all those guys, they didn't change at all. They didn't really need to. But the fact that they had, that Sosuke had somebody to speak with in Speedor to tell his emotions and his thoughts. I believe the episode where Speedor gets rusted and then Sosuke's trying to go ahead and scrub him off and clean him up. He explains why he's really into this, why he thinks this is important, and how he wants to save his friend. Because the thing about Go-Onger is it was about the friendships and the loyalty between the Go-Onger and their Zords. And I really like that. Yeah, you can complain there are too many characters, but at least each character had distinct personality and this fealty and loyalty towards the Go-Onger. Heck, they're even trying to tell the Go-Ongers what to do. When Gohan, Gold, and Silver, Aniki, and Mew, they don't want to go ahead and help out the Go-Ongers. Like, we are the Go-On Wings, we're superior, we're different. Triptor and Jetras, I think that was it, Jetras, were basically saying, hey guys, we could use their help. You should be a little bit more friendly to these guys. And they had arguments and debates with each other and all that. And I think that's a great way to go ahead and do that. Is to take those characters and again give them those interpersonal conflicts. And again, with the Sentient Zords, there's more things to explore because the thing is that human characters will always debate human existence. But what about characters who are not human? I would like to see the Go-Onger Zords really discuss their existence and their place in the universe. Not have to get all philosophical and all that kind of stuff, but just kind of ask, why are we being subservient to a lower life form? Why are we on this planet saving this planet? Why aren't we back home making sure that our planet isn't, in danger and stuff like that? because my biggest criticism of the Transformers franchise, at least the three Bay movies, is the fact that we focus on the humans' reaction to Transformers, as opposed to the Transformers' reaction to the events and the situation that they find themselves in. True, there's little bits of that, but the overall is about the human perspective, which is what we have in Power Rangers. Not to say that's a bad thing. It's just that if you're going to go ahead and have Sentient Zords, why not do something interesting with them to make them these characters? That's what I'm trying to go ahead and say. Because heck, when Go Under is translated into RPM, they're not alive anymore. They are just tools in machines. There's nothing significant about them. And that's one of the other crimes I have for RPM, is that they took an interesting concept in Living Zords that actually talk back to the Rangers and have these character traits, and the audience knows those things, and revert them into machines that are nothing, basically. But again, overall, my issue what I'm trying to go ahead and say to you guys is that I want to see Sentient Zords matter as characters. Now, we have that a little bit in Go Buster, where the Zords technically are not alive, but they're pilots. I mean, they're an extension of them, I'll grant you that. They control and they become alive, essentially. Zero Ranger. Interesting concept there. Once I get a chance to actually watch those episodes, I mean, what was it, 7 pieces of an ultimate god and all that? Now that sounds like an interesting idea right there. Again, Raptor told me Aber Ranger. The concept behind that is that they are dinosaurs that they're alive and talk and live in another world and all that. And again, Kyoryuger right now. Again, they're living, but let's know more about them. I mean, because how was I supposed to know as a member of the audience that King Zord wanted to fight alongside him? That is a plot point that comes out of nowhere because we are told it secondhand and not directly from the characters should be saying it. Because, I thought that maybe what would happen is that he would talk, even if it's subtitles or something. I mean, heck, I'm watching the whole thing in subtitles anyway. It doesn't really matter. I just want to know what they think as characters, And again, let's talk about the morality of it. Was it moral for the Rangers to sacrifice all their Zords without the Zords saying anything? Because even if the Zords are on the same intelligence level as dogs, would you really sacrifice your dog, like that? I mean, most people who love animals would not do that, and I would assume that if you're a ranger and they're your Zords, you would definitely love them to death, I guess. Well, there we go, love them to death. It's just, again, and I keep talking in circles, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this on up, because there isn't too much to go ahead and say in regards to Sentient Zords, I guess. Just that let's do something with them. The next chance we get Sentient Zords on our Power Rangers or Super Sentai, let's do something with them. Let's turn them into full-fledged characters. And maybe what you have to do is have less secondary characters, maybe less Rangers. Let's go to a three-man team format. Something, again, akin to Go Buster, because the thing I really thought that was going to happen in Go Buster when I first heard of it and I started watching it is that the robot characters, the Buddy Roids, would actually become more characters. The thing is, they don't really change. They're pretty much the same. I haven't finished the entire series yet. I'm about 10, 15 episodes away from the end. But like Cheetah Nick is the same as he was in the first episode as he is now. The rabbit, he's pretty much the same. He had one episode where I think he learned a lesson, but beyond that, he really didn't. Which is the way with television writing nowadays. I just want to see them fight side by side, have these character conflicts and all that, and just give us more than just the guys in the suits. Maybe you have to take away focus from the villains and all that, but frankly, in Kyoryuger, I would have liked that, because right now I'm still not liking any of the villains. So if we have the Zords talking, maybe we could put less attention on the villains and more on our giant-sized allies that help us in every facet of life, basically. So yeah, those are just kind of my general thoughts about Sentient Zords, how it's handled, and what I would like to go ahead and see. Let's see if they'll go ahead and do that. Now, if you guys out there have any comments about Sentient Zords, what do you guys think of them? Are they a good thing, bad thing? Should they have character development? And definitely tell me what you think about Aber Ranger, or not Aber Ranger, Dino Thunder, and them sacrificing their Zords. Was that the right thing to do, given the circumstances? Or is it really an immoral choice on the part of the Rangers? So let me know what you guys think. I want to thank you for joining me here today. And wait for my new stuff next week. I think you will definitely enjoy what Raptor and I will be providing for you all. But have a good day, and the tavern is now closed.